Mbemba Jabbi is from the Africa Europe Diaspora Development Platform, ADEPT, um, and he serves as the executive director of the African Center and board member of the Africa Europe Diaspora Development Platform. As a prominent diaspora member, he contributes in two worlds, namely social integration projects in Ireland and livelihood projects in the Gambia. Mbemba Jabbi is an experienced consultant that has worked with several international institutions and NGOs such as UNICEF, Go, Go Global, and UNDP. So he's going to talk about the unique position of a diaspora organization, and he will focus on projects that the African Center in Ireland undertakes regarding social and economic integration of African migrants in Ireland and Europe. And secondly, he will expand on the reintegration of young return migrants into the Gambian society that have failed to arrive in Europe, a side of a story that is rarely told. His project is financed by ADEPT. So, Mbemba, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kofo, and all the panelists and the listeners. It's a great pleasure to be here today. As you mentioned, the Africa Center Ireland is a member of the of ADEPT, which is the Africa Europe Diaspora Development Platform based in Brussels. So my intervention today is going to be in three areas. I'm going to look at the Africa Center as a diaspora-led organization in Ireland, the history. I'm going to look at the social and economic integration of African diaspora in Ireland, and also part of our Africa program in the Gambia. Actually, this fit in well with the topic today, ensuring dignity and human rights of people on the move. Because if you look at Africa Center Ireland, actually our background as an organization is as a result of discrimination and lack of fair and balanced representation of Africa and Africans in Ireland. In the early 2000, like 2000, 2001, when Africa Center was set up, there were not a lot of Africans in Ireland then. Most of the people there in Ireland are actually students, migrant workers, and also program refugees, which are brought into Ireland by the Irish government themselves. But also there are very few asylum seekers. But the representation then is actually informed by mainly international NGOs through their fundraising, and also the perception there most Africans in Ireland were asylum seekers, which is very untrue. So the Africa Center started working around that by Africans themselves realized that the images and the perception is mainly geared towards fundraising, towards poverty, starvation, disease, corruption, and all those things. And then actually, when you look at all those things, they are global issues. They are not actually an African issue as well. So that's how it started. In terms of the socio-economic integration of the African diaspora in Ireland, Africa Center's main areas of concentration were development education, changing the narratives, as I mentioned, about the role of the African diaspora itself. And I think sometimes the debate is actually more of relying on resources than we contributing to development of the countries that we are and the countries that we come from. And I will show you a poster that this is just a this is a poster campaign, Africa Also Smiled. And this actually underpin all the things that we do. In Ireland, many discussions around development in even in African countries is around aid and taxpayers. But people fail to understand that African migrants contribute to development in two folds. We are taxpayers in the countries that we are, but also we contribute remittances. And sometimes these are actually an oversight. So this is where our fundamental foundation of our discussion in our development education is based on. We contribute to the tax money that people always say that is development aid money, but also we contribute to remittances, which is actually more than the international development aid. So I think this is where our actually enlightening come. Political participation, as you can see on the left hand side of the presentation, we engage Africans to engage in politics and then also to be representatives as well. And because we have a firm belief that when people are at that level, they can contribute to actually the discussion about migration management, but also to input into policy in the countries that we are, and support some migrants legally in terms of education and employment. So our Africa program is actually based on few areas. Migration management is encouraging engaging the African diaspora in migration through mentorship, but also through development work and policy engagement. But one thing that most of the people fail to actually recognize in terms of migration management is actually the people who are returned back home, because like reintegration of them is always difficult. But one thing we also realize also is that people who actually didn't make it and were left to go back is actually a failure for them in terms of their family, because people put together resources to take these people to travel. But also, what about the people who lost their children in the sea and they are going through traumas and other things? So nobody's actually talking about those people in terms of migration management. And to close, we think that in terms of Europe and Africa relations, recognition and consideration of is very crucial in the role of migrants in Europe, but also legal migration frameworks based upon skills, knowledge transfer, but also circular migration should be encouraged. We need to recognize diaspora organizations as partners in development and humanitarian assistance, but not only as only migrants, because we are also contributing something tangibly to the development of both where we live and where we come from. Thank you very much.